All right, let's go to our first guest of the day. What a treat it is on this Monday to secure the services of one of the hottest men, one of the most wanted men, one of the most desired men in all of combat sports. Dare I say, not just men, analysts, personalities, voices, talking heads. One half of the coaching duo for The Ultimate Fighter Season 33. If I'm being honest, I had planned for this to be an in-studio chat because I saw him gallivanting all over this great city just a couple of weeks ago, speaking to podcasts with about, 36 to 37 viewers/listeners. But in the end, we have to settle for good old-fashioned Zoom because that's how we like to do it. Let us say hello to the bad guy, the one and only Chael Sonnen. Hello, Chael. How are you? I don't mind that you didn't come.
How am I?
Yeah.
How am I?
Yeah.
I'm sitting here insulted. You got a producer over there named Eric. I come on and he's asked me, he says, can you count to 5? Why would he think I can't count to 5? I have a college degree. I majored in sociology. Some people don't respect sociology. I like to see Eric try to spell sociology. What does he mean, can I count to 5? What an insult that was. And you want to know another thing? I'm sitting over here on the screen. I've been here 2 minutes and the screen's just me. So the way this works before you bring me, it's just me. I got this whole view of myself. Ariel, do I need to up my testosterone? What is going on?
What?
I do not. Where'd all my muscles go? I used to have these big muscles and these beautiful. What is going on over here? Is old Chael falling apart?
No.
Does that happen? Because I'd be the last one to know. If you see me digressing as an absolute beautiful specimen, you need to tell me. People don't know these things. They have to be told by somebody.
No, you look fantastic. Your nipples are kind of showing through the shirt there.
Is that bad though?
No, I think it's
bad. It's because there's a difference in pecs and then boobs.
Yeah,
and
no.
A man, particularly a man that does testosterone can end up with boobs. Am I on my way to that, or
no?
Is that look?
These are pecs. These are pecs. In fact, we were just admiring your looks on The Ultimate Fighter. We decided that we like the jersey tucked into the jeans with the belt buckle. We thought this was a good look. You went with the no shirt underneath. DC went with just plain shirt. This was sans glasses, which I thought was interesting. But I think in the end, my favorite was glasses, jerseys tucked into sweatpants. I thought that was the winner.
I appreciate you acknowledging that fashion statement there. I did not know that you could put a shirt under the shirt. That's actually it's now that you say it, that's how Chiesa and Daniel did look every day. It never dawned on me. I guess I didn't pick up on that. And what a tough thing, right? It's mum's the word. You can't say anything. Is there anyone out there that doesn't think I stomped Daniel during this process? So, even though I'm not, Pelagian's going to be so upset with me, but it's like, Craig, of course I'm going to beat Daniel. It's just Daniel.
Did you enjoy this? You've done it before, multiple times. Did you enjoy doing it again?
Fire over here, Helwani. Is this on? Can you hear me?
No.
I'm on fire. Already, I'm on fire, and I haven't even come to life yet. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Ultimate Fighter is an incredible thing. Okay, hold on. I had made a joke about sociology earlier, but it is a sociological experiment. And not a lot of sociological experiments are actually done because people don't respect sociology and there's no funding for it. But this really, you get a group of people, you bring them together, you take all their distractions away. And a big thing, go back to Craig Pelagian, but he wants the guys to concentrate. He wants them to be able to focus and nobody have an advantage or something comes up. They get a call from somebody and it takes them in a different direction, maybe a negative. So he wants them to be able to concentrate. And they provide all the food, all the housing, all the training, all the coaches. The equipment. When I tell you it's anything you could ever want for a training room. There's one rule. I've done this 3 times, but each process, they tell us this on day 1. Look around the gym. And if there's anything that you want that we don't have, we will have it overnighted in. So it is truly the nicest training facility you can get to. And you ask me if it's fun. It is fun, Ariel. I'll give you an example, though, of a dog. I lost a dog, the lovely Danger. Danger Waffles got put down.
I'm sorry.
And it was such a painful thing that I almost didn't get another dog because I didn't want, 12 years later to have to go through that again. I do have that similar feeling with the Ultimate Fighter. It is so hard to say goodbye when we all go through this and then the last day comes and we got to get to the airports and go to our respective homes. That is a very difficult day. And that's the last thing that I remember from this process. So that part of it's tough. I would not feel bad if I never went through that again.
Who do you think felt worse? You on that day or Oban Elliott, the guy who idolizes you, not to get the call to be on the coaching staff? I thought that was a blunder. How do you not have the Welsh gangster on the coaching staff?
It's funny that you say that. It's funny that you say, because it's limited who you can bring in. So Colby came in and he was just worth his weight in gold. But Colby has a very busy schedule. And I mean, all the way down to campaign stops. And the president called him one day, by the way, while we're filming. His phone lights up. Donald J. Trump. Secret Service got involved when they found out there was cameras on. It turned into a whole thing. But my point is, Colby's so busy, and Oban was who would have been next. Oban, I don't want to bother Oban because he's got a fight coming up. And I wanted to present it to him as though, bro, come out here. This is a training camp. But Austin Vanderfort didn't see it that way. Just for example, Austin had a fight come up, and it was right at the apex. I'm saying, hey, come right here. You'll have a training camp. It's your size guys. And I just didn't want to put Oban in that spot. But I do agree with you, and I do wish that he could have been there.
Okay, fair enough. I think that'll make.
I just spoke to him, Ariel. I just got off the phone with him.
He's the man.
I was in Vegas last week, and for the premiere of The Ultimate Fighter. And so I was going to try to get to him if that worked with his coaches. You know, it's always a position where I don't want to overstep because of the respect that they are to be shown. But sometimes when you're really hurting, like you're cutting weight, sometimes you can just use a friend. Sit in the sauna with you, tell you it's going to be okay. Sometimes you need those things. So I was going to try to get over to him and help him cut some weight. And he informed me that he's not in town cutting weight because his fight got moved to Baku. I wasn't aware of that. So I had to go back through, look that up, see what happened with the change. But just spoke to Oban, and he's doing great, by the way.
I'm happy that you checked in on him. I was kind of, waiting by the phone. I was like, all right, like I brought Chael to ESPN, I brought DC to ESPN. I thought one of them would extend, like we were partners, the three of us, and it was actually like awkward between like you were jealous of my relationship with him, he was jealous of and I thought one of you would extend the invitation. In the end, I was sort of left empty-handed. I thought someone would just be like, hey, Helwani, like for everything you did, for bringing us to the dance, for all the times that you went to bat, I thought one of you would extend, but
I was not jealous of your relationship.
There was a little bit.
I was surprised at how quickly you bonded with Daniel. I felt as though my bond with you, which took 10 years, I felt like Daniel got fast-tracked just because he has this little program with you and a little Mon Pod network out of Bristol called ESPN. I mean, these guys, they're still trying to get up off the ground. Yeah. And you, Mr. Fancy, I felt like all of a sudden, I'm with the 2-division champion. I just felt you guys got a little cozy, a little fast. It wasn't complete jealousy. I was bothered by that.
Well, it all worked out for all of us. You two are now, the hot new show. You're hosting reality shows. I'm very happy for you both. I'm very happy that it all worked out. It seemed to have been a great turn of events for you. Chael, can I ask you about something? Like when we did our program, we used to argue. We used to butt heads, but it was all in good fun. And I'll be the first to admit, sometimes I'm right, sometimes you're right, sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes you're wrong. We got into a little bit of a tiff recently from afar, and I actually think we're both on the same page. I actually think that you agreed with me, and for some reason, I don't know, maybe misunderstood my stance. I don't know what it was.
Islam.
I'm going back to Islam versus Ilia. You retweeted this. You said not a word here is true. My stance was what Ilia was doing was far more courageous, dropping his title after beating Max Holloway, after beating Volk, not just beating them, knocking them out, going to chase the number one pound-for-pound fighter in a higher weight class. It is not the same as the champ at 155 saying, hey, I'm going to fight the new champ who just won the belt. And I was debating all of this and also saying that, hey, if you're Islam, take the Ilia fight, take the biggest fight available to you, and then move up, win or lose. If you lose to Ilia, does anyone care? If you don't have the belt anymore and you fight JDM? No. If you're Islam and you beat Ilia, now you're red hot, supremely hot, and now you're going to fight for another belt. And I didn't understand where you were coming from. You did a little video in the car, and then you said you started to do the whole gimmick, which I thought we were past, like, hey, I've never made the walk, you're not an athlete, you don't get it, you're insulting. I'm like, we actually agree on this. Am I missing something here?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit, but we still do have a disagreement. Now, I like the praise of Ilia. I mean, the rules of the playground carry over to the octagon. The same way as two people are going to meet at 3:00 after eighth period, and it gets through the whole school. Why? What happened? What did he say? Well, he said this, and he said this, and he talked to his girlfriend, or I mean, whatever it is, that same level of excitement for whatever is going on with these two, like that carries over to the octagon. So one thing is, who is more willing? Who is more sincere in their claim, I'm the best? If we have a pound for pound list that lists somebody as number one, and in this case they did, Islam. Then you got Ilia that I believe was number 4, and he said, no, wait a minute, I don't agree with this list. In fact, I believe I'm all the way here at number 1, and to prove to you, I'll fight him. And then Ilia says, to show his sincerity, I will take a punishment, which is the relinquishment of my belt. I will enter a division. That's how sincere I am to want to fight this guy. And I think that Ilia just deserved recognized for that. That doesn't mean if they fought that Ilia would win. But if you don't have the head-to-head competition, then we have to go back to the rules of the playground, which is if 2 guys agree to show up at 3 and 1 guy didn't show up for whatever reason, your classmates look at this guy as the winner. So you and I were in agreement. Now we're saying the same thing. I'll get to the point where we disagreed, and we still do, which is you were contending that Ilia, the day he gave that belt back, was promised,
yes,
was under the assumption that he for sure would get a title fight. And that part, which I haven't spoke to Ilia, I'm just saying, when I look at it, that would surprise me if that were true. The UFC hates with a capital H. It might be the number 1 sin in the whole company. You do not walk away from the belt. And this goes all the way back to a courtroom in roughly 2006 with BJ Penn on one side and Dana White on the other. You do not walk away from the company's belt. So for him to make that call and say he's going to leave his division, which is news they don't want to get, I just can't imagine where when they're receiving news they don't want, they make him a guarantee. Yes, so if you do this thing that we don't want, we guarantee you'll get a title shot. I found that hard to believe.
So you're right about the history. Dana was very mad at GSP when he dropped the title after beating Johnny Hendricks in 2013. You are right about the history, but this time history did not repeat itself. He did get the guarantee. You say you didn't speak to Ilia. I think you know by now, Chael, I'm pretty good capital J journalist. I don't just speak, like just making things up. I speak to people and then inform myself. And so I then say informed opinion. He did get a guarantee. I know exactly where the guarantee was given. I know about the meeting, all that and more. I won't give away too much because that would reveal sources. But the point is he was guaranteed. And you know how I know this to be 1,000% true? Just a couple of days before UFC 315, Islam himself said, I'm not giving up my title and I'm going to move up to fight JDM. And then what ends up happening? Ilia's fighting for his title, fighting for the vacant belt. He was not going to give up his 45 belt for a number 1 contender, an interim. It had to be either Islam or a new belt, a vacant belt. And that's exactly what happened. And so I think I was proven right with that. Also, the UFC, I think, recognizes this guy's a megastar. You don't want to make him unhappy. You want to keep him happy. You need a main event for International Fight Week, right? You need that main event, and you need a title fight at the top of the main event. And so to go back to your earlier point, you say the one thing they hate is vacating the title. You're 100% right. But the other thing that they can't have are pay-per-views without title fights. And that's the reason why they had Volk fight for a vacant title against Diego, and that's the reason why Ilia is fighting for a vacant title against Charles. And by the way, that's why Dustin is fighting Max for a BMF title. You need a title fight at the top of the main event.
And that all makes sense. I wouldn't dispute it. Now, if you're telling me that you were told by Ilia and that I'm just flat wrong, I'll stand down. I know if you claim to have that you do have it.
Sources close to it.
Yeah, but absent of you saying, Chael, this is a fact, take it from me. And I would, but absent of you saying that, if I was to look at the evidence, boy, it doesn't feel that way. I mean, historically speaking, somebody like Ilia is going to leave a division. The day that gets the press release, the day that news comes out, they also announce the on sale and the date that he will be taking on Islam Makhachev. It's generally not a conversation you're going to have if there's anything that we know about Islam. Islam will fight anybody, and he complained about fighting 45-pounders, but the bottom line is he'll fight them, and then he'll even give them rematches on short notice. Islam will fight a guy like Manny Moicano, who he's never thought about, never envisioning. He'll fight him on 22 hours notice. So my point is, Islam did get big and strong to the idea that I'm going to leave 170 eventually, but he dipped his toe in that. And at the time that the belt came off Ilia, Islam was dipping his toe to the point of, well, not if it's Blahal, and I don't know what's going to happen. That's my boy. And they kind of went back and forth. And then it was, well, I'm going to keep both belts, so I could defend one here, but I want the chance to go later. I'm just saying, for the situation that we were in at the time, the UFC could have come out, said, not even speak to Islam, come out in a press conference, say, Ilia is no longer at 45, he's now at 55, he's an undefeated world champion, which makes him go in front of our number one ranked guy. Here's your match. And everybody would have said, okay. But they didn't do that. And then I have a source too, and I will make it public because I interviewed him and put it on the internet, but it was Charles Oliveira. And Charles was in talks to fight Ilia before we ever got the result of Jack and Blahal, which allegedly, the way the story, at least they prefer it to be told, was the big deciding factor. So they could have stepped in at any time and just said, Ilia, Islam, and it would have been done. But they were talking to Charles, and Charles never knew it was for a title. Charles always thought, okay, I'll have to go through Ilia to get to Islam. I don't want to, and I don't think I should have to. I'm ranked number one. He's not ranked at all in this division. Charles was making his case, but Charles had no idea it could be for the belt.
Yeah, they do this sometimes. Famously, they did it to Khabib, UFC 205. He thought he was fighting Eddie Alvarez for the title, and then he finds out that it's Conor McGregor fighting Eddie Alvarez for the title, and he had to fight on the prelims, and he accused me of not being loyal, this famous guy. They just used him as the sort of backup, so Charles was being used as the backup, but they wouldn't tell him that because no one wants to be called the backup. In any event, what we're getting is a great fight, but we are not getting what I thought would be the supreme fight, which is Ilia versus Islam, which is one of the biggest fights that the UFC could put on. Could we take a step back? Because I just did a little monologue at the beginning of the show, and some might be surprised with this stance. I saw a lot of people after the weekend say, the whole Blanchfield Barber thing, say like, UFC is cooked, UFC is washed, what the hell, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wait a second, everyone chill out. Like, we've seen this before. Guys can't make the walk at the 11th hour. Remember Stefan Struve and Matt Mitrione, like he had a heart issue. Let's not make this out to be a big... Kevin Randleman slipped, yes.
He was warming up and he stood on like a pile of pipes and then the pipes gave way. Remember that story?
Of course.
That was a tough one.
There was another one with a guy named Sean Loeffler in Omaha, Nebraska, turned his ankle on a Fuel TV card. Point is, on May 1st...
Ken Shamrock, Kimbo Slice, different organization, same situation.
Things happen. My point is, if you would have looked at the slate May 1st, okay, what's to come in May of 2025? It wasn't the best of schedules. But hey, 315 main event, Bilal JDM, I thought exceeded expectations. I thought that fight was better than most people thought, and I thought that pay-per-view card was better. Look at the lineup in June. My point is, all this talk that the UFC is cooked, washed, that the sport is down, this and that, I don't buy that. I think it's hogwash. There's cyclical moments. There's ups or downs. Is there a shortage of superstars right now? Yeah, I would say so. But look at June's schedule. Look at July's schedule. Pretty darn good. Where do you fall in this? You see this talk online, right? I know you work for the broadcaster. I'm not trying to put you. I'm defending the organization. I'm saying it's ups and downs. How do you feel about this talk?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And this is actually a little spat that we also had on Twitter a few weeks prior to that because you had Eddie Hearn on.
Yes.
I like Eddie Hearn. I respect him. He's handsome. He's accessible. I like Eddie, but Eddie had made a comment which was in the defense of boxing, and I think it came from a little bit of a competitive standpoint now that Dana White is in the boxing business. But Eddie had said I couldn't name 6 UFC fighters, and I felt as though that you agreed with him in terms of the UFC's just on a little bit of a down.
Yeah.
And I can just tell you, I check the TKO stock every day of my life at 6:30 in the morning, 9:30 East Coast time. Never miss and never a minute late. And that just isn't a reality. We were doing shows at the Apex in front of nobody. Some of that was a pandemic, but some of that you just had a hard people. You can only hit Vegas so many times. And now they're doing $2 million gates on a Saturday. They're doing a fight, the one where I cornered Colby Covington. I mean, this was such a big deal. It was 15,000 plus, completely sold out in advance. Hulk Hogan's involved with it. Dana shows up himself, and this was for a non-pay-per-view. Like these non-pay-per-views, they're feeling like pay-per-views. The UFC, shockingly, believe it or not, is not in the gate business. One thing that they did very early on to throw people off their trail is they would tell you the live gate, and then they would hint at the pay-per-view while telling you, I can't tell you the pay-per-view because it's our... But they did those two things to make people believe they were in the live gate pay-per-view business, which hasn't been true since roughly 2011. But I tell you that because there's competitors and people coming in and people that want a piece of it, they've thrown them off. The revenue streams, when you're in this kind of a business, it's completely different. If you did a zero gate, the stock still goes up. So that's really big money is my point. When you're not even counting on that gate, that's not even the business you're in, and you're still doing seven figures, Ariel, it's business is pretty hot, man. The UFC is red hot.
The UFC is red hot, but MMA isn't red hot, and I could distinguish them. The MMA business, as I continue to say, is in a recession. Let's be honest. PFL not doing great. Is there another option right now in the United States? Not really. You've got some outfits overseas. One Championship is essentially out of the MMA business. They do more grappling and Muay Thai. Rizin is having a nice little run right now. Let's see what happens. You've got the KSWs and the Octagons, Cage Warriors doing a little thing, more of a regional scene. But it's the you have to admit, UFC is on fire. TKO is on fire. But the MMA business, we don't have, when I say we, the MMA business, like there is no AEW to UFC's WWE. There isn't even a close second to them, right? That's a little problematic, I think. There needs to be for the boys in the back, right? For the guys to have places to go. Look, you left the UFC, you had a great thing with Bellator, right? To round out your career. Sure. There isn't that. Like if this is you 10 years ago, where are you going? You're going to fight at Universal Studios for PFL in front of 600 people? You're not doing that. That is what concerns me. UFC is doing just fine. So when I have that conversation with Eddie, I'm not necessarily talking about the UFC. You are a fool if you say the UFC is suffering right now. They are on fire. They could do no wrong. And it would take many more main events to fall through for them to start suffering. But the business of MMA, the rest of the sport, I don't think is in a great spot right now. Agree or disagree?
Oh, you definitely make a great point, and it's not even a matter of just now. Pride definitely was a competitor in the UFC. Bellator, as much as they tried to ignore, Bellator really was a they were selling out gates all over the world too, man. They had a little thing in Ireland. They were going to Jerusalem. I got to go on that, one of the best trips of my life. We go back, come back home, go to Chicago, shoot over to San Diego, sold out. Bellator really did a very good job. Now, if we can just go to the PFL, right before you brought me on, you had thrown up a tweet from Don Davis.
Yep.
I only had time to see that it was Don Davis, and I don't know what the subject matter was. Let me make sure we have this right. We like Don Davis, correct?
Who's we?
You and I. You and I, as people in this industry, people that watch how people work and how they treat other people. Don gets 2 thumbs up, right?
I enjoy him. I like talking to him, but I think he has lost a lot of goodwill with the fans. I think a major turning point was buying Bellator. I think they were on a nice trajectory. He called himself the co-leader. I don't think people bought that. And then I think he did an interview or two, and it was a little bit exposed that he wasn't an MMA guy. And I think MMA fans want one of their own. They want to believe that you're in the trenches. That's what they love about Dana, right? He's in the trenches. He freaking lives and breathes this. And I feel like he's lost some of that goodwill with the people.
Okay, now that's a fine example. I never thought it from that perspective. But just to bring it in, aside from Dana, De La Hoya in boxing, but De La Hoya wasn't really calling it. Richard Schaefer was doing it. He just got his name out there. Eddie Hearn might be a fine example. What His Highness Turkey is going right now. I mean, he never did these things. I do think the community's open. Vince McMahon wanted to be a pro wrestler, and he got in there a few times, but he wasn't really one of them. I don't know. I'm just sharing for you. I don't know how much of a requirement that was. Here's what I feel did happen with Don Davis a little bit. You come in with the best of intentions. And when they absorbed Bellator, which for business reasons made such good sense, but when they did that whole thing happened so fast that by the time they start going through the contracts and they start seeing what they got, they start swallowing real deep and going, what kind of a deal did this guy have? Then you've got X amount of dates. They got to play the venue game like everybody else, right? They don't own a venue. They've got to play this game. Then you got how many fights can you bring on? I mean, not for nothing. They just ended up with too many guys. The math just didn't work out. We've heard some guys that complained, and they were top guys that we knew of, but there was plenty of others that are in the same spot. It's math. How many shows are you going to have? How many fights can we throw on here times 2? How many guys are under contract? They just got put in a tough spot. In my opinion, I don't think there was anything intentionally that was done. And I think maybe they were naive to a couple of things because the deal went so fast. I don't think they knew how many Bellator guys were making 7 figures, just for example.
Well, they should have done their due diligence, right? I mean, like, you can't find out after the fact. But yes, maybe in retrospect, it wasn't worth that deal. By the way, they didn't have to pay for Bellator. They gave up equity to Paramount. So it wasn't like they had to give up millions and millions of dollars.
That's right.
But look at what it led to. A lot of these guys have gone. I mean, like Patchy Mix is fighting this weekend for the UFC.
Yeah.
Kayla gone. Pico gone.
Ariel, I hear what you're saying on due diligence, but the price was so right on Bellator, but it was a time frame. You've got to say yes or this is going to go. I mean, not for nothing. There wasn't quite time to go through all of these contracts, and there were some massive escalations that were with some of the Bellator guys.
Yeah.
That when PFL got, man, we thought we had a handle on these purses, but now look at this. I mean, you've got to have something that's sustainable. You don't just have something that makes people feel good. It's got to be something you can duplicate over and over again, much like your show right here every Monday, or you don't have a business. So I just feel that they got put in a wildly tough spot, did the best they could do with it. They're still doing the best they could do with it. They're fighting as many people as they can do in as many venues as they can get, as often as they can get them on TV. But then you do have a game of math. How many guys, right? How many guys do you have? They took a lot of guys in.
And they were once the place where like a Rory McDonald or an Anthony Pettis could get a big deal. I don't think they're that place anymore. And so if I'm that type of fighter in the year 2025, where am I going? That's what concerns me. A guy who doesn't have to worry about this is Jon Jones. How does this story play out, Chael? You're in the content creation business. Aren't you tired of this already?
Can we just wrap the math on this real fast? Because the math is very important. We wanted competitors so bad, and the story always got told so that fighters could go somewhere besides the UFC. But that was more of a line in a narrative. It wasn't as much a reality. And I'll just tell you, from being on that side of the fence, what we really wanted, we wanted competitors because we wanted more shows. We wanted more shows so that guys could get more fights. Not necessarily more guys coming in or starting to play the game back and forth, just so you can get your 3 paydays a year. If you're going to be in this industry and make a living, that's what you have to have. The UFC, when I started, had 5 events a year. And then the day that I came on, they announced, okay, this year's going to be 6, but next year's going to be 11. And they go up, and then I believe they're at 44 is what they just completed in 2024. But the point is, if you're now doing 44 events times 11 fights, which is 22 guys, that is a lot of paychecks that you're handing out. As a matter of fact, Dana White's writing more paychecks in total than when Pride was here. And WEC was getting in every now and then just because of the number of shows. So it is important. Competition is so helpful. But it becomes less of an urgency if the UFC can sustain and keep everybody busy. And I just wanted to make sure that you at least consider that.
Sure. No, I understand.
Moving on.
I understand. It's a fascinating topic that we could talk about for a long time, but I want to get your thoughts on Jones and Aspinall.
Can I get in front of something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I get in front of something? All right, I heard you say the magic words, Jon Jones.
Yeah.
I did an interview about 3 hours ago with Daniel Cormier.
Okay.
It exists over at ESPN Plus. It's called Good Guy, Bad Guy. Please allow me to give it that respect.
Sure.
Ariel, when I sit down, it's 7 a.m. Oregon time. And I'm not a huge morning guy, so I got to back the alarm up 2 hours, 5 o'clock, so I can get coffee and shower and kind of move around a little bit to be ready. I sit down, Tom Aspinall's on the screen.
Oh, wow.
Tom Aspinall's sitting there. Now, we tried to get Tom, but he told us no. So when I said, I got Tom Aspinall on the screen, and he's driving. He's in the car driving. It's clear that he just came from training. He's driving. So it was a great visual. It's like, it's early in the morning. What is Tom doing training? Like, what is so serious? Jon is very clearly letting us know that he's not in the gym right now. Here's Aspinall just on a whim that we get him in an interview. Here he is. So I want to tell you that. And I want to encourage people, if you don't mind me doing this on your platform, if I could just encourage people to go over and watch this episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy. We asked Tom all the tough questions, Ariel.
Tell us, can you give us a preview?
Yes, absolutely. He reveals in this things that we did not know. And he makes it kind of clear, look, there's only so much I can say, but this is ESPN and I'm here to say. And he pushes it. And he gives us enough info that I do believe that we could make very reasonable guesses on what the next move is for Tom, and it will surprise you. That's the
wait, you teasing? You're teasing us?
But I have to.
You're working us.
You there Well, Ariel, but think about what I'd be doing. I'm popping on your show after I just did that. You know, it kind of matters which one came first, and then you got to show respect to it.
Sure.
Same as I would do for you. I wouldn't take something here or over there.
Sure, no,
but
I get it.
But I would like to plug them. You got the biggest show out there. If the fans wouldn't mind just clicking over and watching this episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy, it's good. It's good. Tom's good.
I do want to say 7 o'clock your time is 10 in the East and 3 in the UK. So it wasn't that early for him, but it was nice for him to pop on the show and give you guys the 411. How do you, based on this, you don't have to tell us what he said, but how do you see this playing out? I've said, you know, my conversations would tell me that Jon asked for a big number. The UFC met the number. I do not think the UFC is to blame here. The UFC met the number. Is it the 30 number? Is it the fame? They met the massive number. He would have been one of the highest paid fighters for one night in the history of the sport. And then he said, I'm cool. Now, did he shut the door? Maybe not 1,000%, but that's the delay. They would have liked to have wrapped this up a long time ago. Dana White gave us his guarantee that this was happening. My only gripe now is, like, at what point do we move on? Because Tom's career is just hanging in the wind. The guy's young. He's last fought, you know, in July. It was a 60-second fight. I think they're saving it for Madison Square Garden, and so there's no real rush to force Jon's hand. But Jon, everything he's doing would suggest that he is not coming back. Do you think otherwise?
I also, prior to speaking to Tom, I also strongly felt from information that I could get, or maybe I even overheard at places, that Madison Square Garden and most specifically November. And It was going to meet Jon's request, which was a very strange one when it came in, but he wanted 180 days from the day the bout agreement is signed. And why he dug his toes in, we don't know, but it actually would satisfy this. And so you bring up a great point that nobody's considering. Tom has a family and is a prize fighter and is not at the point in his career where we can just wait. I mean, Jon Jones had done so well financially. He took 3 years off one time. Electedly on his own. He said, take the belt back, all the money that comes with it. I'm good, and took 3 years off. That's just not a situation that Tom's in, and we do need to be respectful of that Tom wants to stay busy. And Tom's a lot of things. They want to call him the interim champion, which I just think is such a beautiful word, Ariel. I would have done anything to have a title that ended in world champion. I don't care if you put interim, light heavyweight, WEC, pride, if it ends in world champion, I wanted it so bad, but when you're in Tom's shoes, he doesn't see it that way. He sees interim as a pejorative. And one thing that we do need to concede about Tom, he's the active champion, he's the training champion, he's the licensed champion, he's the accessible champion, he's the in the gym preparing his skills champion. And I think that is tough for him to not have that recognition of undisputed. And Tom's been very clear about a couple of things. And when he first started, I thought maybe it was a little bit of an angle, but it's not. I take him as extremely sincere, which is, Jon, my gripe is not with you. I just want to be known as the undisputed champion. They can give that to me at a press conference the same as they did it to Ronda and Jose Aldo. Or I will fight somebody else after you're stripped, or I will fight you. Whatever your choice, but no argument. He doesn't want interim. Interim insults him.
Yeah.
And possibly it means something different in England. I'm just telling you where Tom's coming from.
No, he's the longest reigning interim champion of all time. It's not a great distinction. Like you want, he's in the prime of his life. He has always said, hey, beating Jon, being the guy, the first guy would be great. But ultimately, I just want to like advance. I want what Jon has. And Jon likes to do this thing. It's like, hey, I'm living my best life. I'm living my best life. Now you're stopping someone else from living their best life. But it's, to be fair, the UFC has to make the call. Jon came out recently and said, like, hey, the UFC is going to make the announcement. All right, so can you tell us what it is? If we're saving them for November, just tell us so we can all move on with our lives. If you're not saving us, just so we put us out of our misery is all I'm saying, because we all feel bad for Tom. Hey, maybe Tom's working all of us. Maybe he revealed to you in your interview earlier today that he already has a date, and this is all just the build of the fight. I would argue that it's making the people a little bit apathetic towards the fight. Would you not? Like it's...
Ariel, I never seen anything like this. I've seen people resist fights that we all want. And as frustrated as we get, truth is it builds an excitement and it makes us want it more. And we're willing to pay more for the shows or pay more for, like, whatever it is, it does up. As frustrated as it is, it ups it. I've never in my life it's going the other way. This fight isn't getting headlines anymore. I can't make any money as a guy that's on YouTube. I can't make money talk about this fight because I can't even get anybody to click on it. I come with a thumbnail and a photo, and even I come in with inside scoop. My numbers are going down. And I don't think that's anything that with the UFC and their abilities, I believe they could flip that script really quick. Yeah. I'm just sharing with you as I study this sport, and I love to study it from a little bit different perspective. I've never seen anything like this. And you use the word apathetic. Maybe that's what it is. I have my own hypothesis, which is the audience is not convinced they're going to get it. They don't want to get excited. They don't want to hear about it anymore because they just don't believe we can get that fight to the ring. Whether I'm right on that guess or not, I am right, and I can prove it by numbers that this fight is losing steam. There was a headline on this last week, Ariel. I click and refresh the websites, the elbows and the manias and the junkies all day long. When it popped up and I saw it, this story, Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall, side by side, was number 3. It had fallen to number 3. It couldn't even command the media for a day, not even for 3 hours of the day. It was the 3rd story down, and I'm just sharing with you. You're completely right. This fight is getting smaller, not bigger.
2 last quick things. First,
can I tell you one of the problems? Yeah. Can I tell you? Because Jon did have a very big number, and my sources tell me the same thing. The UFC said, okay. But one of the problems with that, no fighter ever, and there's not an exception, you can go through all of their numbers, coming off a victory, fights for less in their next fight than they did in that fight. Coming off of a victory. Right, never.
Right.
So you get a champion, it can be a very tough spot. Jon doesn't have 2 fights out there. He doesn't have 3 fights that people would be excited about. But Jon doesn't hold any of the records. He's got no pay-per-view, no live gate, no t-shirt. He has 0 records. And it wasn't a matter of Conor came in and beat it. Jon never had him. Jon was so good and so dominant, we would have lots of people dressed up as empty seats coming to a Jon Jones fight. We would be told as the world what a big deal it was because what a once-in-a-lifetime talent we have. At the end of the day, it was an expense. And I'm only sharing this because if you come to the table with $12 million for this one fight, you're not going to get him again. And who's his next fight? It's with Curtis Blades. It's with Derek Lewis. I'm just sharing with you. It's with Volkov. It's a much smaller match, but you got to pay him the same thing. No fighter can ever look at him objectively and go, okay, that night was a big night. This one's less big. We failed at our job of promoting. They don't look at it like that, man. They put that right on the promoter. That's where it becomes a problem. You could justify $12 million to Jon Jones for Aspinall plus back-end points, which is going to bring him to almost $20 million. McGregor's never even seen this much money. But you can't give him that against Surreal. You can't give him that against Volkov. And I'm just saying that becomes the problem. If you are going to do that as a promoter, you better be goddamn sure that guy's going to get beat. And that's the side of it they'll never talk about publicly. Privately, if you're going to pay a guy that and you can't pay him at 2 and 3 and 4 times, you better be sure you got the guy that can beat him.
Do you think it happens? Heart of hearts, right now, November, are they fighting each other?
Tom's going to fight. Tom's going to fight, and he will get his request that the undisputed belt will be up.
Yeah.
I have a very hard time believing, Ariel, that, and I know Jon Jones had some fun with the media, and he came out and he said $40 million. And just to tell you where that came from, when Jon fought Stipe and he sits down at a press conference and he goes, $40 million, just to tell you where that came from. The night before, Jake Paul had fought Mike Tyson. And Jake Paul put out a false number, but the number that he claimed he got was $40 million for that fight. He claimed this, and nobody said, but that's how this sport works, right? It's just whoever lies bigger. So now $40 million is like the highest number Jon's ever heard of. He's at a hot mic. He's excited. The president just watched him. He did a little bit of a dance, and he just threw out the number. He just said the same number that Jake Paul, who just broke records on Netflix, lied about getting. And this is what's so interesting about it. Aside from that, though, I have a hard time believing that Jon's done anything wrong. I don't believe that Jon did hold up the company. I don't believe that Jon did tell him $40 million over the phone and put a gun in their face. I don't believe that. I cannot believe that if Jon Jones picks up a phone and they go, here's the date and venue. You already know the rules and you know the weight class because there's an interview. Here's the date and venue. I struggle as a person to believe Jon says no and puts the phone down. So if they're going to claim for us at this point And there's a big announcement for Thomas waiting for you right now over at Ariel and the Bad Guy. All right.
Sure. Thank you.
Good guy, bad guy.
Yeah.
The handsome guy.
Ariel and the bad guy.
Whatever they call it. The show that I carry.
Old habit.
Ariel.
Guy's hard. Yeah.
I have a very hard time imagining that Jon is going to walk away from that. I can't believe. I know publicly he likes to have some fun. I know that you can hurt his feelings on Twitter and he'll change his whole outlook just for those 10 people that did it. But the real guy in here, that's a dirty, grimy competitor. That's the same guy that busted his toe against yours truly. That's the same guy that had his arm extended against Vitor. That's the same. He finds a way. And I just don't think that fire that he has is burned out. Look, when you're Jon, you jump in this business and you're like Roy Jones. You're looking around going, how come I don't have the big fights? How come I'm not the big money fight? I'm the best guy here. Well, because you were so dominant. But you do it anyway. You make the towns, you pack your bag, you check into the hotel, you make the walk. You do this over and over again, hoping to get to that one night. The highest paid, biggest check ever written by WMG. Okay, it's going to be him, and it's going to be that. It's not going to be them. It's not going to be Tom, and it's just going to be Jon. Everything you've ever want, every question to be answered. Jon took 3 years off. Took 3 years off to put on some size, and then he's going to move to heavyweight and spot an opponent 30 or 40 pounds. And right then, he thought that was going to be Francis. He was building his body into Francis. He knew, I can spot this guy 30, 40 pounds, and I can finally create an idea in the audience's mind that the guy has an advantage. Ariel, that's what we've got. Jon Jones is in the position. Everything he's ever said he wanted, everything that he proved to us, showed his sincerity, set out to do, it's all right in front of him. And so many times this will happen at greatness. So many times guys will feel the pressure. So many times guys will go and have an opportunity to have everything they ever said they wanted, and right when it's there, they're at the doorstep, they start to realize, I don't want it. And I just don't think Jon's that kind of guy. I think Jon is as advertised. I think Jon's a badass, and I do not think Jon Jones is walking away from anything.
You could say the same about Valentina Shevchenko. What's going on between you and the Bullet? I mean, what's happening here?
I think we made up.
I don't know. I tried to like set up a meeting between you guys, shoot some guns. What's this beef about? What's happening here?
I have what's known in the legal world as felonies because I am what they call in society a criminal.
Okay.
So I can't shoot the gun. So I had to turn down. I mean, I got grenades and I got switchblades. It's the gun. It's the specific fire. It's a weird little nuance that the Second Amendment didn't quite cover. But the point is this: I couldn't accept that. But you had Valentina on. I thought she sounded warm to the idea. I thought that she was being kind to Chael. I actually went out this weekend, first time ever, I tried to do something for her. Generally, I would be a hater, and I promoted her OnlyFans page. I mean, not for nothing.
I saw that.
It's not like everybody went and did that. So I think the Bullet and I are actually coming more together. And you want to know something? On a personal note, I appreciated her addressing me. She's somebody that I have admired fight. She's a top 5 to have ever done it, not just women. She's a top 5, possibly closer to a top 3. I like that you got her to give a little shout out.
Okay.
To Chael P.
So the fences were mended. Another favor.
I felt as though they were mended. She would have the right to be very disgusted with me. She would have the right to be frustrated with me. In 6 years, I have never found it. I've never said anything good about her.
No.
But it's only because I keep finding myself in that position. Leon Edwards is another one. I've never complimented him, but it's not personal. I just keep finding these positions, and I look at what Leon's doing and go, why are you handling it that way? Even right now, Leon could be red hot right now. You must be the boss even after a loss. You must find a way to navigate this system that you're the boss even on a loss. A defeat does not bring you down. If you're the main event, you get beat. Your next fight, you're going to be the main event again. You're going to get paid even more. You got to find that way. And when I look at Valentina, we have never had any. I mean, you don't want to know some of the records she's got. Here, I'll give you one of them right now, but you don't want to know this one. She's defended or fought for a world title more times than anybody in co-main event history. We have never had a fighter have as many title fights not on the top of the bill as her. And that's not a record that's even close. She's got that outdone, I think, by a factor of 4. No one's even going to touch that. But it's because she doesn't build a fight. And all my encouragement, Ariel, has never been against her personally or her skills. I like those things. Seems like a beautiful and nice young lady. I would really like to meet her. She can't promote a fight. It wouldn't hurt her to go out and promote a fight. In her very last contest, Fiore says, if I don't beat her, I'm going to retire. And Valentina goes to the press conference and says, please don't honor that. I don't want you to retire. It was just an act. It's an act to look nice. You don't have to act and look nice. She's rough. She's rough around the edges. All I encourage, come out and be yourself. You don't have to do the little dance and the curtsy after you just bludgeoned a human being. Come out and be yourself.
I like
That's my encouragement. I don't think I'm so wrong for that.
No, you would know. You would know about how to sell yourself, about character development. You would know 100%. And by the way, love that you've teamed up with Real American Freestyle Wrestling. You, Bischoff, Hogan.
And Ariel, by the way, between us, you know that I have guns. I'm just not.
No, you can't talk. You can't talk about it. Yeah.
Are we still on?
No. You can't talk about these things. You can't talk about these things. And also, I believe that you were just exonerated of all your I saw something. I saw a headline come through
That's coming. That's coming, but not here yet. Thank you for that.
You're going to be working with these guys, this outfit, and I like the fact that they got a legit amateur wrestling legend on there. Because let's be honest, with all due respect to Bischoff and Hogan, they're more on the work side of things. You're a shoot fighter. So what are you doing?
What a team. Hey, what a team. As soon as I hear Bischoff and Hogan, I actually didn't believe this story, and it was coming to me from Christian Pyle. It was coming to me from really good sources, and I thought, no, if they're getting into wrestling, they're getting into wrestling. And they're like, no. They're getting to Olympic freestyle wrestling. They're going to take Olympic and world medals. They're going to take college stars and candidates for 2028. They're going to put them together. And, I mean, it was so exciting to think that somebody could tell the story. Look, we know this can be done in grappling because it's been done in grappling. When it came around in 1993, the internet wasn't even out. There's 6 Gracie certified gyms in all of America in 1993. I tell you that because I went to BYU so that I could join Pedro Sauer's gym because he was the 6th gym. Closest gym to me. I had to go out to Utah, go to school, try just for this. So I know these dates very well. And Ariel, they haven't had much time. Wrestling's the world's oldest sport. Before there was bats or balls or courts or hoops, they grabbed a hold of each other and pushed and pulled. And wrestling is truly the oldest sport. And it got passed by grappling. Fight Pass, if you saw the numbers that they're doing, but the numbers that they're paying out, numbers that they can justify because it's so big, Polaris has done a great job. Craig Jones, millions of dollars. Abu Dhabi comes once every 2 years. I wish it was once a month. How did wrestling get passed by? And there's an answer. They didn't tell the stories. They just simply didn't let you know who the people were. And that's where Bischoff and Hogan come in. They're masters of that. That's what they do better than anything else they do. And then they brought in a guy called Izzy Martinez, who you might not be overly familiar with.
Of course I am.
But this dude is Midas. Whatever this guy touches turns to gold. He's done it with kids. He does it with the women. He does it with the MMA. He does it with the colleges. Whatever this, and I don't know, I've never been in the room with him. I don't know. I can only tell you, you say whatever you want about him. Don't tell me he's not a winner. He's a winner.
Well, I like this. I like this a lot. I like that you're teaming up with them. I think they needed someone who has your creds, right? Your street cred, and I think this is going to be interesting. It was tried before, Real Pro Wrestling back in the day. I don't know if you remember, 05 or so, Cormier, King Mo were a couple of the guys on it. It didn't quite work out, so I'm curious to see how it all pans out.
I was part of that. Those guys were truly wonderful people.
I didn't know that.
They just only had so much time. They had X amount of money and they had so much time, and they wanted to make it a real playful thing. Those guys were great, by the way, but they wanted to make it a real playful thing, and there was like energy meters, like a video game, and the meter would go up, and the referee. I mean, it was this real playful thing, and I just don't know that wrestling has to be portrayed that way. Those are some rough and tumble guys, man, and they got rough and tumble backgrounds, and it's a lot like I was talking about the Bullet earlier, but the Bullet doesn't have to apologize for being rough around the edges. Her mother was a fighter. Her sister is a fighter. She is the greatest cage fighter the weight class has ever seen. Like, she doesn't have to pretend to be somebody else. If she can speak 7 languages, say hello to us in all 7 languages. I mean, not for nothing, but that was a little bit weird. I speak 7 languages. Well, Let's just hear one of them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I just think it's a small thing. Then it turns out she's trained in military. She's good with the guns. She is one of the most dangerous people. If you only have one person that you got to go to battle with, it's probably Alex Pereira, but it might be her. Those are compliments. Don't come out and hide from that stuff. If you're a scumbag fighter like the rest of us, just come out and be yourself.
Chael, I love you. Despite the fact that you never show any love towards me and it's constant conflict, I love you like a brother and appreciate
You do know I can count to 5, right?
No.
You're not part of this little thing that Eric did to me.
No.
You're aware I can count to 5. Why would he ask me, can you count to 5?
He apologizes, by the way. He apologizes.
Oh.
He wasn't sure. He thought he was talking to someone else. We love you. We'll watch the episode right now. Thank you for the plug. Actually, we'll watch the episode.
What did he think? Like it was going to go 1, 2, 3, Arkansas potato? Like what did he think I would say after 3? He knows I can get to 3. 1, 2, 3. What would he think? 1, 2, 3, 29. Goodbye, Ariel. I've had it with you.
Love you, Chael. Thank you so much. God bless. And we'll see you soon.
Goodbye. Turkey.
Oh, my dear.
Lawyer will be in touch.
Here we go. That was incredible stuff. That was incredible stuff from Chael. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up. Leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.